Hello, Sipsters. Welcome back to another episode of the Sippin' On Stories podcast. With me, Mandy Corey, your host. I'm so delighted that you're here with me this Tuesday, or whenever it is that you're listening to this episode. I hope you all had a wonderful Halloween weekend. I know that I did. I've already eaten way too much candy. I really need to stop. I'm a little bit sad that Halloween's over, but I'm really looking forward to, obviously, the holidays and celebrations that are coming up for the rest of the year. So for today's episode, we have my cousin Mindy on the podcast. I always thought it was fun growing up that our names were so similar. You know, you've got Mindy and Mandy. In fact, I told my kids that I was interviewing her, and they were like, wait, did they do that on purpose so that your names were like each other? And I was like, no, but it was fun growing up. I actually haven't talked to Mindy in quite some time, so it was fun to see her and talk to her after a while. I'm not going to give really much away for this episode. All I'll say is that I was on the edge of my seat for a part of her story. So here is Mindy for today's episode. Hi, Mindy.
It's been a long time. My husband's like, which cousin is this? Because as you know, we have like 80 billion cousins. So
Yeah. I know my daughter asked that, and I was like, Mindy, and she was very excited that our names were similar.
Oh.
Like, did they do that on purpose? I'm like, no. I start by asking everybody what their favorite drink is. And so I'm going to ask you that. What's your favorite drink? Any kind.
Yeah. Well, I will never be able to give one single answer to any question because it all depends on my mood.
Yeah.
So those are my favorite drinks. I love the sparkling ice. It's Starburst strawberry flavor, like a Starburst.
Uh-huh.
It is so good. We just, at my house, we call it the pink drink. I don't know. It tastes like a strawberry Starburst, and it's so refreshing.
Mm-hmm. I've tried this. I've had the sparkling ices, but not the Starburst one.
Try it. If it's out of stock in my area, it's because I buy them all.
No.
But my other drink that I drink all the time is I'll do coffee, like a decaf coffee in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I put creatine and collagen in it. That's like I have to have that. I even took my collagen I met with a supplier yesterday for lunch. And I was like, sorry, I just worked out and I need to get my creatine. So I'm a weird.
Is it the unflavored?
Unflavored, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I bought creatine. I haven't started using it, but I've heard good things about it. So I'm like, I should probably use it.
It's good for your brain.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely feel like I'm seeing more muscle definition as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like what my sister-in-law was telling me. I'm like, I should get it. And I just haven't started, so.
Do it. Put it in your drink.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll start doing that. Okay. I have no idea what story you're going to tell.
Yes. Well, I will give fair warning that I'll probably go on a few tangents.
That's fine.
And the story, I have to give you some backstory before I tell you the finale. So the caveats are like, I have ADHD, and it is a struggle to just live and have ADHD. Like the challenges of having ADHD and like being a functioning adult, they're hard.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of this, but the focus of this is like all about my mishaps with travel and how I've missed flights or almost missed flights. A lot of it's just because my brain, like I move I think fast. I don't look at things in detail, and so I've like pretty comically missed a lot of flights, or because of that, like just total human error. And as in my 20s, the way I responded to it was like a lot of self-deprecation and just like beating myself up and feeling stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But then this very last time that it happened, it inspired me to finally write my first chapter to a book I want to write. It's like a silly comedic memoir about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had an idea to write it, but I never could get in the zone of like the tone of voice, the way I wanted to write. But when this happened, it just came together, and I was like writing it as I was on the airplane. So I'll start with where my travel issues began. It was actually my honeymoon. And this is going to like give you a whole long story of like, I know these things. And So with my honeymoon, it was the first time I ever like almost missed a flight.
Mm-hmm.
And we were young and we were getting chastised like, you have to be here 2 hours before boarding, blah 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 blah. We made our flight then. Um, but it's been ingrained in me since that's what the airlines will tell you: be here 2 hours before boarding or whatever
Mm-hmm.
they tell you. Um, so that was fun because we were probably like 20 years old. We probably looked like two teenagers, so we get chastised like two teenagers. And one thing with ADHD is people, we don't like being told what to do or things that we know. It's just like, yeah, I get it. Stop lecturing me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it's over. But so I've had a few moments like that. And in the last few years, I've been working. I travel for work probably every other month, something around there. And my a lot of this has happened as I've gotten back into the workforce and traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them are bad endings. None of them are actually bad endings, but one of the times that it happened, and I've learned how to travel through Atlanta Airport, it's like one of the worst airports to travel because it's huge. And if you don't check your gate, if you don't have, it's like if you're more than an hour layover, they can change the gate on you. You could be like, okay, you're in D or T3 or whatever terminal, but then they might change it on you. And so you have to constantly check, which I didn't know about. This is my first time traveling by myself, and I've kind of relied on like my spouse, who's very good at details,
Mm-hmm.
to just, yep, I'll follow you. We'll go wherever we go. So with that one, I I love routine, and when I go through Atlanta, like I love to stop and get some good food if I can, and I love going to L'Occitane, which is like personal body care, lotions, face stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like my jam. I love going there. They used to have one in the Salt Lake airport that went away. So now every time I fly through there, I try to go to that. So I learned the hard way that yes, you have to check your freaking terminal. But I think what actually happened was when I looked at my app, it was like your gate is here, but I was looking at the arrival gate. So
Yeah.
this is the pattern that happens with a lot of these stories. So I missed my flight and I'm standing in line to rebook, and there's this woman in front of me who just looks super distraught. She has like a big old duffel tote bag that rips, I think, while I was standing behind her.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I asked her like, "Hey, are you all right?" And she tells me, she like totally just vomits like, this is the first time I've ever traveled at an airport. My daughter's about to go into surgery. I'm trying to find a flight so I can get there on time. And she didn't tell me what her daughter was going into surgery for.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked like, "Hey, I've got 3 hours to kill because I'm an idiot and I missed my flight. Is it okay if I stay with you until you make your flight?" Because she's just super distraught.
Mm-hmm. That was
So I
really
stayed
nice.
with her. I even, like, she was such a noob to air travel. She's like, "I need to smoke. I want to go smoke a cigarette." I'm like, "Well, you have to leave the airport and come back to
You can't do
security."
that in here.
So
Yeah.
she left her bags with me. She went and smoked. And I stayed with her. Like, one of the last things I did before, like, I made sure she got to her gate. I went and bought her a backpack, like, "Hey, put your stuff in this so you don't have to deal with a crappy bag." So that was like a comical, but also it was kind of a sweet thing to happen. It feels good
Yeah,
when you are
definitely.
in moments of like, I feel like an idiot, like, at least you do some good.
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of moments like that. Like, one time I was traveling with my daughter and I thought we had plenty of time. So we go get food, and then I'm rechecking when the gate is, like, when the close off time is, like, we're going to miss this flight. So, like, we're running there. We made it barely on time. And I just get in the zone sometimes. Even this last flight I took, actually, I hear my name, like, "Mindy Burton, come to the gate. This is the last call." And I was just working on my computer. I was right there at the
Uh-huh.
gate, but I had my headphones on. So yeah, this has happened a lot. One of the more recent ones is I thought I had time to get food and get a massage. I'm like, I got plenty of time. I looked at the departure time, but I didn't realize that I missed my flight till I go to the gate and it's like in air. I'm like, oh crap. So
No.
people know that I, like, at work, they know that I miss flights, and it's like a freaking, it's a good thing. Like, yep, I made my flight this time, no big deal.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of an unfortunate trend that I have. But there's other stupid things that, like, I'll book my Ubers the day before, like the night before, if I leave really early in the morning. And one of the times I booked it for like 3:50 p.m. instead of 3:50 a.m. So it's like these things
Just
that I
the
just do.
small details, but are very important when you're traveling.
So I mean, yeah, these are the struggles. Another time, I so it's really confusing. There's an Orlando airport. The code is MCO.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a smaller airport that has like 6 terminals, and it's it's called Melbourne Orlando Airport, and Uber tries to guess where you're trying to go. So I booked my Uber, and then we're driving, and I'm like, this is the wrong way. Why are we going this way? At that time, I had to like figure out how to get the Uber back to my house, and my spouse was able to take me. I made my flight, so no big deal. But one thing that helps my brain is like have a routine, and I've gotten really good at just like, okay, I have a it goes under my sink. It's my travel like toiletry bag. I all I have to usually put in there is like a toothbrush and whatever face lotion, but like that's my go bag. So
Mm-hmm.
I pack really fast now. I used to stress out of like how many outfits should I bring and what if I don't want to wear that outfit? So like I would overpack, and now I've gotten really good at just taking a bag that I can check it if I need, or I can just bring it as a carry on and
That's
just
impressive. Yeah.
yeah,
I
most
pack
of this
way
is
too
carry
much.
on. Yeah. I'm surprised by myself. Even my husband's like, "You've gotten really good at travel. This used to
Mm-hmm.
stress you out." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what's happening." But so yeah, I usually always have a checked or a carry-on size bag, and most of the time I do just carry it, especially if I
Mm-hmm.
go through Atlanta, because there's been times I've missed it because they just have delays and my layover is really short, and I've had to like run through the airport. And one of the times I was doing this, I have my leggings were falling off my butt because I'd lost some weight, and they're just like, "Oh great," I'm like mooning everyone.
Like,
But
it doesn't
some of the
matter.
times are not my fault, but yeah, so I know how to travel now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get to the highlight of this story, which and I'll tell you the title of my chapter, and I'm gonna pull up my notes so I don't like go out of order. But this is what inspired the working title, which is I Didn't Get Murdered, so that's good.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
That is
I
good.
know
I'm curious.
it's epic. So so I was flying out of the smaller airport, which I don't always get to do that because they don't always have the best like flight paths or flight times. But I was excited because like this means I get to sleep in,
Mm-hmm.
and that airport has maybe 6 terminals. I don't even know if it has that many, and you can get through security in 5 minutes.
Small
It's
airports
not
are
big.
my favorite
Yeah,
for that reason. Yeah.
it's great, and I'm all ready to go. I get there on time, but I showed up like about an hour before takeoff, a little bit less than an hour. And what messed me up is I normally have my little bag, but this time I had to travel with a bigger suitcase because I had samples that I was taking for work. And so as I roll up, it's me and this other lady, and right away the desk agents are like, if you're here for this flight, because they know there's not many flights going out of there, so they're like, if you're here for Delta flight, blah blah blah, you can no longer check your bag. You have to be here. They give the whole spiel about you need to be here 2 hours before. And I'm so used to just like roll in, take my bag, but I couldn't take my bag. So the first thing I do is call my husband. I don't know how he's supposed to help me at like 4:30 in the morning, but like that's where I always go because it's a pattern of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I realized like he can't help me. Like maybe I could get my bag. I could swap bags. I don't know. Okay, hang up, and I start talking to the desk agent, and one of them begins to lecture me again, and I cannot handle the lecturing, and I already feel like an idiot. Like you don't need to make me feel worse.
Mm-hmm.
But Delta, if you travel with Delta, is really great lately. Last few years, like if you all these missed flights, like they will just rebook me. And if you're traveling through like a Delta hub, I can find stuff. So luckily, I was able to find something, and I'm like doing the math in my head. Like, okay, well, I have to get there at X time because now I'm worried that I'm going to miss it again because I have to
Mm-hmm.
be there. And now I know the true hours that I have to be there before checking a bag. So I book my Uber, and I'm watching him drive around, and I'm really bad at finding where I'm supposed to get picked up. But for once, I was like in the right place. And like most millennials, I don't like to answer my phone.
Yeah.
So I know I see that he calls me, and my phone, like I heavily screen it. I use a Google phone number, so it's just I don't get these phone calls. It just goes right to voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know if you know the iPhone, it has all these other settings like not only does it have do not disturb, but you can turn on like work mode, personal mode. I don't even know what all the different modes are.
Yeah. I don't know either.
So, I mean, that's a pattern of mine too. I'm really bad at answering Uber drivers' phone or Uber Eats, anything like that. Like, I just don't get the call.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching his little app or his little thing, and it goes around, and I tell him like I'm at the right spot. I'm at this place. See you there. So the car pulls up, And the guy's like, yeah, you're going to the Orlando airport. I'm like, yep. So we start getting my stuff loaded, and there's these like little signs that should have given me idea of like what's about to happen. But it's 5 in the morning at this point, and I'm tired and
Mm-hmm.
I'm stressed out. And one of the things, and I'll explain why later, but he has a broken trunk. I have a car that has also a broken trunk. It's a Subaru, and I swear that's just like a defect in these Subarus. They just have terrible trunks. So
Oh, really?
I have to like hold the trunk open. He's loading. He's this like older guy, and I remember thinking, uh, he looks like he's lost weight. Good for him. Because I remember looking at the profile picture, and it's like it doesn't look exactly like him, but
Oh,
maybe he's lost weight.
oh no, yeah.
I get in the car, and then he's trying to start his app, and he's older. He's probably close to 70, and he's like, I can't start the ride. Can you try to call Uber? I'm trying to message them, but I can't call them. I'm like, sure, whatever. So I call Uber. They tell me what to tell him, and as I'm on the phone, I'm like out loud to both Uber and this guy, like, I cannot miss my flight. Can you please figure this out? Like, I can't miss this flight.
How much later was your flight than the one? Like, so
It
it's
was
5 a.m.
2 hours, so
Okay. So
basically I
you
don't have
had,
much time to lose.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm stressing because, like, look, I'm in this car. Let's freaking go. And bless this guy's heart, he starts driving, and he's like, okay, we'll figure it out on the way there. Not high confidence of like, you probably shouldn't be trying to message Uber while you're driving, but whatever. So he's trying to figure it out. He hands me his phone. He's like, can you message Uber and try to figure this out for me? So I see that he has the Uber app,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to like I reset my app. He resetted his app. So he just wants to get paid. Like, I get it. It would be really bad. You take this driver, you don't get paid. That's an hour of work lost.
Mm-hmm.
I also found out, by the way, how much Uber drivers get paid through all this. And like, Uber takes quite a big amount of money. So
Oh, do they? Yeah. I've always been curious, actually.
I think the ride was originally, it was like maybe a $90 ride. And he would have been paid 30
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's substantial.
or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
Uber takes a lot of it.
Yeah.
But so we're going on the way, and this is going to take longer because we're farther away from the airport than normal. So I'm like watching the clock really closely, and I'm like, hey, they just said message you after the ride's over, and he's like, no, I've been screwed before. So he's still trying to message them,
Mm-hmm.
and I have his phone, and then I look down at my phone and I see some messages from the driver. I'm like, well, that's strange. Why would Freddie be messaging me? We're in the car together, so I open it, and I wish I could have screenshotted exactly what the guy said, but this is what I remember. I'm here. Where are you? I see you. That is a fake Uber driver. Call the police. So, so I go into like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Like
Panic.
emotionally,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, what did I do to myself?
Uh-huh.
Um, but with ADHD, you're also able to process very fast. So like logically, I'm thinking, no, this is a real Uber driver. He showed me his app, so I still have his phone. Um, and I called Uber like that minute. Okay, I'm not gonna call the police, but I'm gonna call Uber. At least like
Uh-huh.
be on the phone with someone. So I still have his phone, and I'm talking to them. And I scrolled, and I've never seen the backside of Uber from a driver's perspective, but I scrolled
Yeah.
down and I see your driver's name is Patricia. And I'm like, oh crap. So like we just swapped. Like we did not confirm each other's name, but it's like, okay, clearly this is
Oh,
a
so
human
he was
error.
supposed to pick up a
Yeah.
Patricia. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So so then I'm like, all right. So Uber is also telling him, well, what you could do is just drop your passenger off on the side of the highway, and she could try to rebook and see if she gets you. Like, there's no way. It's so crazy that Uber, as a technology and a software, cannot just be like, here's profile
Match two
Mindy,
people. Yeah.
and here's his name's not Freddie, it's Joey, as I learned. But like, so they couldn't help us out, and Joey was like, "Oh, I'm not going to do that to a passenger." I'm like, "Thanks, Joey," because Uber's like SOL.
Would
I'm
love
already
to be
just like,
dropped
I
off on
just
the
need to
side of
get
the
to
road
the
at 5 in the
airport.
morning.
So I'm okay. I was getting flustered. Like, look, I am still on the phone with him. I'm just going to figure out a way to pay him. Thanks for nothing. And so luckily the guy had Zelle. And then I asked him probably like 10 times to make sure, like, what's your phone number? What's your phone number? I want to make sure I have the right phone number before I put
Yeah.
this in, because once you Zelle people, it's gone.
Uh-huh.
So I do it, and then he's trying to confirm it, and we're still driving. And he's like, I don't see the payment. I don't see the payment. I'm like, oh my God, now I'm out $65. I'm gonna have to pay you another $65. And so that's not resolved. But then he says to me, I just need to pull out and get some gas. And so then again, I go into like
Oh
fight,
gosh.
flight,
Yeah,
freeze. I'm
like
like,
I don't have time for
he's
this.
gonna kill me. And I'm like sizing him up. I'm like, I could take him. He's shorter than me. He's old. I can take him. But we did drive into a gas station. And then he was able to confirm that the payment was received. And I did make it to my flight on time. But like Freddie will the true Uber driver will never know if I was murdered. And it's
Yeah.
like, what are the odds that Patricia, who also probably missed her flight, like two people from that little airport are trying to go to the Orlando airport. So I'm just trying to like make myself feel better.
Yeah.
Like I feel less dumb that two people, one other person missed their flight, not just me, and that is just like a comedy of errors because it's like it's such a low chance that two people are trying to
That would
go
have
from this
happened.
airport to the other airport.
Yeah.
But yeah, Freddie will never know if I got murdered, and maybe Freddie helped Patricia out. Who knows? So
Yeah. I
anyway,
know that would, if I was
that is
Freddie,
my that is my story.
that was quite enjoyable. Yeah, I
I
would
did
have
not
been
get murdered,
full
so that's
panic.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if Freddie was also like in a panic, being like, "Oh no!" Like, hopefully, yeah, that person does not
Yeah, and
do something
the lessons I learned from this is you really do have to be early for a checked bag. You should also confirm your driver's name and license
beforehand.
plate because
Yeah,
I remember when I was trying to figure out this is before I realized that it was the wrong car. Then I'm like, what make of Toyota is this? Because it's supposed to be a Toyota that picked me up. So I'm trying to look
mm-hmm.
for the emblem. It's a different, like I've never, and I used to drive Toyotas, so I'm familiar with their make and models. But like
Yeah,
this must just be a newer. So like there's these signs to me, and the trunk story. The reason I brought that up is like my Subaru is a terrible trunk, and that is like, oh, this tracks. So it's just funny because I had all these. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't
signs.
look this exact same. Like there's all these
He
signs, but I'm
lost
like, no,
weight.
I need to get to the airport. So anyway, it's my silly story.
Well,
But
that was, yeah, that was enjoyable. Well, that would have been scary for me. I don't travel by myself like hardly ever, but and I'm afraid to use an Uber. Like I've never done an Uber by myself because I'm afraid I would die. So that would have sent me into full
yeah,
on panic. But
I remember thinking before before I logically was like, hey, he's not a fake Uber driver. Like, well, he's been blasting Christian radio music this whole time. That could be either a good sign or a bad sign.
yeah.
But
Well, thanks for telling me that story. Yeah, that'd be fun for you to write like a memoir of all your different
yeah,
experiences. Yeah.
yeah, maybe one day if it ever fully gets written, my memoir, I want it to just be funny. Like
Yeah.
the premise, this is like not, it's probably has to be a subtitle. The actual name of the book is going to be like Tangents or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many memoirs of people that are just they go through hard things and it's so inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And I love writing. I've always thought of different ideas of how I could write throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to write something that's just like an everyday person. Like we all go through struggles.
Yeah.
A lot of my struggles are definitely due to just having ADHD and not understanding it until I was like closer to my 30s. Like, oh my gosh, my brain, that's why I am the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the theme is like, why am I, no, so going back to what I have as the working title, which is too long, is my life wasn't that hard, so why am I this way? And just like finding moments in my life to explain some of those things. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty relatable. I feel like I know a lot of people now that have like ADHD and same like thought it was bad like a majority of their life, and it took a long time till they finally realized like where it was helpful or the good things that have come from it, you know? So I think a
yeah,
lot of people would be able to relate.
there's superpowers, and ADHD is on a spectrum. Not everyone
Yeah.
experiences it the same. My
Mm-hmm.
husband has it, but we're on a different level. Like things that
Uh-huh.
stress me out don't stress him out, or traits that he doesn't struggle with, I struggle with. But I hope as I write more chapters, I will have more funny stories.
I know. I'm sure you do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, fun. I'm looking forward to it. Whenever you're done with it, I'm going to want to read it.
if I ever do, I'm
Yeah.
sure I will. Yep.
Yeah. Not a
Anyway,
thing. I'm glad it turned out okay. It could have been
could have
traumatic.
been
Yeah.
could have been really bad.
Uh-huh.
And the weirdo in me that like loves Dexter and crime shows was like, sweet. I'm
Oh,
gonna
now I
cry.
have
I'm
my
gonna
own story. That'd be my own episode. That's funny.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for telling it. It was fun and enjoyable, and it was good to see you. It's just been too
It's
long.
all
Yeah.
right. Thanks.
Okay, see ya. I have never taken like an Uber or a Lyft or anything like that on my own before because, well, actually, I really haven't had much opportunity to, but I will say I've always felt a little scared to do so because I'm like, well, what if something happens? Even though I feel like they have a lot of things like in place to keep people safe, I still have always felt a little scared and intimidated to do it. It's one of those things that I'm like, once I do it, I'm going to feel so proud of myself that I'm like, I did it. I survived. All is fine, but haven't done it yet. And I will say this story made me a little bit like, this is why I don't want to do it. But in the end, it was fine. And I'm glad everything like worked out. Obviously, I try to think, I'm like, do I know anybody else in my life that's actually had like not a good experience with any of these like ride sharing companies? And I couldn't think of any. So if you have one, I would be interested to hear it. Instead, I decided to go and look on Reddit to see if I could find like any other just like crazy stories. There was part of me that was actually a little bit worried to do it because I'm like, well, maybe I don't want to go looking because maybe it will make my fear like heightened, you know? But I decided to anyway. And surprisingly, I feel like I didn't find that many. I mean, granted, I didn't search for a long time, but most of the stories that were coming up on Reddit were actually more like the drivers and the people that they were driving, which I'm like, yeah, I'm sure they've got some really good stories of the people that they've, transported around. So I was grateful to see that. I did, however, find like a couple. So I just am going to read some because I thought that they were interesting. And if you've ever been afraid, maybe don't listen. But okay, I thought that this one was interesting. It's a little bit long, so, just settle in. Okay. So this story says, okay, I'm skipping part of the story, but she says, I was maybe 23 at the time, working an office job downtown. I had ordered a rideshare to take me home from work. I didn't recognize him, but everything was pretty normal at first. I hopped in, we said our hellos, he confirmed the address, and we started driving. The driver was a guy in maybe his mid-30s, heavier set, smiley. He was continually glancing in the rearview mirror at me, more than average, and nearly immediately told me that he'd picked me up before, which as someone who ride-shared almost daily, did not strike me as all that odd. But then the things he was saying started to get really weird. He asked me why I didn't still work at my former job. I was surprised and a little bit alarmed that he'd remembered where I used to work, as I hadn't worked there since I was 19. So he had apparently remembered me from about 3 or 4 years ago. He also remembered my hometown, where I went to high school, college, what I was studying, and how many siblings I had, and confirmed it all with me like, you are from blank, right? So you went to blank high school, and you have 2 younger sisters, right? Still studying art history at blank university? All of this might not be too odd for an attentive and friendly driver, except I was never a talkative passenger and usually avoided small talk and kept quiet in ride shares. I have no memory of ever telling any driver the specific information, as when asked, I would give vague answers such as, oh, about 40 minutes south, or yeah, I've got some siblings, I'm not close with them though, anything to avoid giving details to the stranger who knows my address. So it was extremely weird to me that he remembered such detailed info about me. He then went on to ask a bunch of personal questions, such as my relationship status, what year I graduated high school, where I like to go out with my friends. He also knew about my male roommate somehow, and inappropriately asked me about my relationship to him. At this point, I was getting extremely uncomfortable, and my answers were becoming more and more curt, but he was not taking the hint. It got to the point where I stopped being cooperative with the questioning at all, and just started giving vague one-word answers or pretending not to hear the questions until he gave up asking and moved on to the next. All in all, he had remembered quite a bit of personal information about me, much of which I had no memory of telling him, and had abashedly, I don't know if I said that right, asked for more. Despite my obvious discomfort, he did not stop questioning me about my personal life for the entirety of the 10-minute drive, all while glancing at me through the review at every opportunity. Toward the end of the ride, he began complimenting me, telling me that my name was pretty and that I was very beautiful and smart, and saying that he hoped we were paired again because I was his favorite rider. Upon approaching my apartment, he asked which door was mine so that I wouldn't get wet. It wasn't raining. Obviously, I told him my landlord's door, and he pulled up to my door anyway. Before he unlocked the door, he turned around to smile at me and said, "This is the longest ride we've ever taken together," before saying that he hoped to see me soon and told me to have a good night. I got out, walked to the side of the building, and waited for him to leave before immediately reporting him. Thankfully, this was back when this rideshare company had real humans for customer service, and they responded that they would be blocking him from matching with me for future rides and would be investigating whether he will be allowed to use the app anymore. I took the bus for the next few weeks and never saw him again. I also never had another driver like that. It still creeps me out how he knew all that information about me. I am also so glad I have moved since that happened. Whew, that would be a little scary. We've all Facebook stalked people, at some point in time. So I wonder if that is what happened with this person. Okay, here's another one. This happened just a few hours ago. I, female, 33, was leaving my apartment with my boyfriend and our small dog. I had ordered a rideshare with a pet. We were heading to my parents' house. It was already past 8 p.m., so it was dark outside. My city is relatively large, but Sunday nights tend to be quiet. Even though I live on a busy street, when my boyfriend and I stepped out of the building, there was no one else around. We had ordered the rideshare from inside, and the driver was about 5 minutes away. When he got close, we walked outside. The car turned the corner onto our street, but strangely, it didn't come all the way to us. It stopped about 5 meters away. I found that odd. Since we were the only people there, it was obvious we were the passengers. For a moment, I wondered if the driver was bothered by my boyfriend holding the dog, but I had specifically ordered the rideshare with pet, so he knew there would be a dog. I started walking towards the car, and my boyfriend walked alongside me. As we got closer, we saw that there was a man sitting right behind the driver. The driver looked at us, canceled the ride, and drove off. Now, if a driver already has a ride in progress, the app usually shows that, but this wasn't the case. There was no other ride ongoing. There was no reason for someone else to be in the car. I fear he may have accepted the ride after seeing that the passenger was a woman, then stopped and waited to see if I was alone or if the man walking with me was just a random person. I've reported the situation, but I haven't received a response yet. Okay, so that story was definitely creepy, but like the entire vibe of it, being dark, them being all alone, seeing the person in the back, the whole thing, very creepy vibes. Glad they didn't end up getting in that car. And hopefully nobody else that night did either. All right, I'm going to read one more that I found. I was at a friend's house one night and didn't realize how late it was, around 2 a.m. I love sleeping in my own bed, so I decided to call her home instead of staying over. My friend lives in a more rural area of town, so it took a while to get my rideshare, and it was around a 40-minute drive back to my house. Upon getting into the car, the first comment he made was telling me how pretty I was. Immediately, red flags started going off in my head. I'm already a very anxious person and have always been afraid of taking ride shares alone, especially at night. So I was already on edge before the comment was made. I just replied, "Thank you," and he started to drive me home. My friend was a boy, and I assume the driver saw him standing at the doorway before we left. Around 5 minutes into the drive, he asked, "Was that your boyfriend?" At this point, my gut feeling tells me something is wrong. I reply, "Yes," and say nothing further. He then proceeded to go on about how lucky my boyfriend was, and again, how pretty I was. At this point, I didn't answer. Around 10 minutes into the drive, the driver tells me that he knows a quicker way to get to my house, and we're going to take a detour. I immediately start to panic inside because, as an anxious rider, I consistently watch the app on the driver's phone and need to be following the map. Also, this detour seemed to be going deeper down the rural roads versus into the city. I then called my dad, but it was past 3 a.m. at this point. He didn't answer the phone. I then decide to call 911. The operator answers me right away, and I act like I'm talking to my dad on the phone. She immediately sensed that I was unable to tell her the exact situation, but I acted like I was telling my dad that I was in a rideshare and would be home soon. She then started to ask me questions about the color of the car by having me simply answer yes or no, the make of the car, my location, etc. She asked if I was in danger, and I said, "I don't know." After telling her my location, she then told me to tell driver to get on the highway because the detour he had taken consisted of more rural roads. Thankfully, we were only around 5 minutes from the highway and then another 10 minutes to the police station. She told me to tell the driver to drop me off at a house in the neighborhood close to the police station. She gave me the exact address and advised that an officer would be waiting there for me to take me home. After politely trying to beg the driver to change the address, he finally did and continued to go in that direction. I stayed on the phone with the operator until I got to the destination. Sure enough, an officer was waiting a couple of houses down. I got out of the car and walked straight towards the officer's car. I'm not sure if I was overreacting about the situation due to my anxiety, especially by calling 911, but the alarms were going off so loud in my head that I genuinely thought I needed to in that situation. I now only take ride shares alone in the daytime and always share my ride with my parents or my friends. That one, I was like, there was nothing that like really screamed like, oh yeah, this is going to be bad. But at 3:00 in the morning for an anxious driver, I feel like she still made the right call. You know, if things are weird, they're weird. So just trust your gut on things like this. It's way better to be safe than sorry. Quoting one of the great podcasts out there, be weird, be rude, stay alive. Doesn't matter if you come off weird, if you come off annoying, whatever, protect yourself in any situation that you're in. And again, from what I'm reading, that one was actually 2 years ago. From what I'm looking, at least on Reddit, it's not like these things happen a lot. If you are a driver, they may happen. The weird stories may happen a little bit more frequently. If you have an interesting driving story, again, I would love to hear it. All right. Well, that is it for today's episode. If you want to be on the podcast, reach out to me. You can find me on Sippin' on Stories podcast on Instagram, where you can DM me, submit a story through my Google form there. I would love to hear from you. But until then, stay safe out there. We'll be here next week for another episode of the Sippin' on Stories podcast. Goodbye, everyone.